In last week's video, I kind of used a metaphor of a new aspect of ourself being this like tender little sprout, and by aspects of ourself, I used some things like being part of a community, being more empowered, speaking our truth, walking with our hearts open, these types of things. It could be like your inner child or a more playful part, more joyous part of yourself, perhaps. These are new aspects that we could awaken, and then we talked about nurturing them last week. Well, this week I want to talk about a different aspect, and it's the consideration of those things. And by consideration, it's like, what do we consider when we're making decisions in our life? Okay, when we're like going through our day, it's like, and this is often unconscious, but we have different things that we consider. The fun way I like to think of this is to have all the different aspects of yourself kind of around in a boardroom, around a conference table. Maybe it's a round table if you like the Knights of the Round Table thing, but it could be, and then, so there's the different parts of yourself, and these are these like delegates that represent the parts of ourselves. Now, bear with me here. And so there might be the things that we consider. So we, and there's different things we need to keep happy. Like there might be like our children, and each child probably would have a seat at the table, and our significant other, and maybe our parents and our in-laws, and our boss, and our career, and maybe exercising, or maybe yoga, or getting sleep might have a delegate at the table, a representative. And so the idea is, and then when we're making a decision, these things have a voice. We consider it, and then it's like, oh, the kids aren't happy with that. You go on a vacation. Oh, the kids are like down on that. They don't like it. Well, what if you gave this new aspect of yourself a seat at the table? So there's your speaking your truth, or there's your inner child is probably the most fun one to see this little kid at the conference table. I mean, you might already have some kids there too, but or being part of a community, or maybe it's having a spiritual practice, and that's new. And then so you put that part of you at the table, and then it gets a voice, And so then when you're considering something, when there's a decision, a life decision, or what you're going to do with your free time, it gets to say, I would like that. Maybe you picture it as having, your heart, or the thing that you really want. Maybe that's the aspect of the table, kind of like an inner child. It's like, and then it gets to be heard. And then and then the normal things where, there's an issue on the table, we're going to do this, and we're going to spend our vacation, blah, 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 blah. And then this part of yourself is kind of like, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't like that. That seems boring. If it's we'll go with the inner child, right? That seems boring, or that seems really unsafe. I don't feel safe in that situation. And the first step is giving it a voice and like hearing it, even if you don't act on it. Because there's a pecking order, right? It's like a power structure within ourselves of, the pieces that we keep most happy, that we have to keep them happy. And then there's it goes down from there. And at first, your new aspect is probably going to be pretty low on the pecking order. So it's not going to get its way. And but if it starts by having a voice and just hearing, what it has to say, just listening and just considering, and you do this inside, it's like, what does my heart want? What does my inner child want? What does my spiritual practice want? What does being part of a community want? What does that part of me, what's it want on this decision, on this vacation, and just hearing it. It means so much. It really means, just like that tender sprout, it means so much to this new part of yourself when it's just even heard. It reminds me of like a little kid that wants to show you something. You might even be in the store, and I've seen this happen a lot of times. It's like they want to show their parent something, and the parent just like thinks maybe that the child, and it's quite possible that the child wants them to buy them something and they want to show them a new toy. But a lot of times what I've noticed is if they just the kid really, they might want them to buy it, but they just want to show the parent this new thing. And if you go and you take a minute out of your day and you go look at the new thing, you hear it, the child feels heard, the child feels like, loved and all that. It's like you went into their world for a minute. And that's kind of what you're doing. You're just considering it. It's like, what does my inner child want? What does my heart want? What does my new playful self want? What does my artistic self want? What's its vote? And then later on, as it develops, you can start maybe reprioritizing a little bit. Maybe that new aspect of yourself gets a little more priority, gets a little more power. It might move up the food chain a little bit. And you might, that's called, reprioritizing. So then your spiritual practice might get a higher priority than it did before. And then something else, of course, is going to get less attention, And so anyway, that's my invitation this week, is to take this new aspect of yourself and give it a seat at the table. Give it a voice, listen, consider, ask it. Like at the very end of last week, I was like, ask it. What do you want? We're considering this. What do you want? And then just listening. It's the first step of just consider. I call it consideration. You're just like showing it consideration, and you're asking it and you're listening. Even if you don't do anything about it at first, you just consider, or maybe you just throw it a bone. It's like, give it a little something. It's like, I know we're going on a business trip, but maybe we can stop and go to the water slide, almost like you do with your kid, only it's a new part of yourself. So that is my video for this week. Thank you for watching. It's a perfect time. It's summertime, so I hope you have a great week, and you consider and give this new part of yourself a seat at the table, and maybe, continuing to kind of ask this new part of yourself, what do you want and what do you think on this matter? And then listening, and then maybe you even, start acting on behalf of that new part. So anyway, I will see you in a week.